Dan, if you're listening to this, that stuff that I did that made you think that I was a bad person, we both know what I'm talking about. That shit was weird, and I regret doing that thing. And I've matured.
Welcome to That's the Flavor, where Cameron's gonna have a come to Jesus moment with the choir director on our show. Hello, everybody. My name is Christian, and welcome to That's the Flavor. Welcome back to That's the Flavor, because it's been a week. But this week, I am joined by Cameron again, stepping up to the plate, helping us out here with a little bit of guest hosting, while Ozzy is off in New York doing big, bright, shooting star kind of things. Welcome to episode 46 of That's the Flavor as well. We are 4 away from episode 50, which is kind of wild the more I think about it. We'll be hitting that in January, if everything goes according to plan, of course. But yeah, Cameron, how you doing this week? How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing.
Good.
It's late.
Yes.
I guess no one knows the time that we record these.
No, it could be 2 in the afternoon for all they know. You know.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was up all night. It's 2 in the afternoon. I sleep at 3.
I'm a vampire.
Yep. No, it's 9:32.
Yes,
on the
it
East
is.
Coast of the
It
U.S.
Yeah. No, feeling a little sleepy as well. So I feel you there. But again, thank you for hopping on. I appreciate it. Again, last minute when
Absolutely.
scheduling doesn't work out, I appreciate that That's the Flavor team stepping up to the plate. But yeah, thank you guys for the support on the last episode, the Kindergarten War, as I ended up titling it. Honestly, it was a really fun episode to record, and yeah, thank you guys for support on the shorts that came out from it and so forth. This week, I got a bunch of fun topics planned for you, talking about Godzilla. What was the other one? Oh God, the punching a chicken one. Yeah, the chicken heat punch one. And then
chicken
choir
heat
music
punch one.
question mark. So yeah, we got a bunch of fun stuff lined up for you. And without further ado, jumping into the first topic, Cameron, I want to talk about Godzilla with you.
Do you
I had
now?
this epiphany this morning, waking up, getting ready for work. Right?
Did you really?
Have you noticed that in at least, and I think this is true for the older movies, but at least in the recent Godzilla movies, so starting with like the 2014 Godzilla, and then like Godzilla King of the Monsters and Godzilla versus Kong, like those
Right.
recent movies, that Godzilla just kind of shows up out of nowhere, messes stuff up, like just wrecks shit, goes, I'm King of the Monsters, and then pisses off again until the next movie.
He does.
Like I noticed that. I was like, it's like he doesn't just hang out in like the rainforest. He just like beats whatever monster is like the big threat, and then just disappears for like
Well-
what would arguably like a year, 2 years between movies. And I'm like, why,
What
like,
what's like the driving force of the plot in like the older movies? Like, is it just that he shows up and like wrecks stuff and then leaves?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's just that. Oh, hey, there's just like even the old. I want to say like original Godzilla, like because the whole point of Godzilla, it was like what, a World War II like allegory, right? For
Yeah,
like
yeah. I was about to say that is that the whole he's supposed to represent the invention of the nuclear bomb,
right.
and how I don't know. I was literally just reading about this with the new movie came out or it's coming out or
Yeah, the
or what's-
-1 movie, like the Godzilla -1 or whatever.
Is that what it's
or-
called?
There's 2 that are coming out. There's one that's out right now called Godzilla -1,
Oh, I didn't hear
which
about
is
that
like
one.
it's done by like a Japanese director, like and it's like a foreign film kind of scenario. And then
Okay.
there's one that's coming out in April. That's a continuation of the more recent American ones that have been coming out.
And they're buddies,
Yeah,
right?
it's like Godzilla X Kong, like the new empire. And there's the literal shot is the end shot of that trailer is Godzilla and Kong running together, like to go and fight a big bad. Like, it's some
if there
action
was-
figure level.
If there was a place to take this concept, as you said, he shows up, fights whoever's there, and then like leaves, right? Just leaves a mess,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
If there was a place to take it, it would be, what if instead of fighting the dude, he teams up with the dude?
Well,
That's it. That's the only place to go.
Here's my thing with Godzilla just like pissing off, basically, right? Where's the movie of Godzilla like helping rebuild the Japan he just wrecked? You know what I mean? Where's that movie?
Where's Godzilla going home to his wife and children? You know,
Be like, hey,
Godzilla,
kids.
you're never around. I made you ziti, but it's cold now.
So not Godzilla related, but Kong related. Apparently, the trailer
Uh-huh.
shows King Kong's son, which is
Ooh,
what? So there you go. There's the Kong, you never home. Like there's that. So there's that. But on that side,
I, you, I'm
like,
speechless.
my thing is, I just don't get it because it's like, why wouldn't Godzilla just like I don't know, like pick a piece of land and hang out, like whether it's like the
Right.
mountains or the rainforest, but like he just disappears into the ocean. It's like okay, bye. Like
They've got to explain in. I mean, what these movies have been coming out since like the 50s, the 60s,
right, right.
that strange time period. They have to establish at some point why he keeps showing up. Like,
Right.
is it to eat nuclear waste? That's right, because he shoots like
Yeah.
nuclear lasers out of his throat.
Oh yeah, in what is it, the Godzilla King of the Monsters movie, to literally like the Hydra kills him, and I think to revive him, they like literally nuke Godzilla kind of scenario, and they're
Right.
like, "Wake up, buddy!" and they just launch a nuke at him.
Well, that's why I kind of liked Pacific Rim for, I think, having a fun take on the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
You know, they got into the science of it. They really like embraced the whole like Japanese, like the Gundam stuff,
Yeah.
in a fun like American way.
yes,
But like Godzilla movies, they just feel like big like blockbuster nonsense. Like, is there an emotional beat to them?
there is, and like so that's just it. Like there are like human
I haven't
characters
seen
and stuff,
the new
right?
one at all.
Yeah,
Any
it's
of
like
them.
there are human characters and so forth, but like that's not what you're going to see the movie for. You know what I mean?
Right.
In a sense where, yeah, as much as it is two action figures fighting each other, that's almost what I'm going to see. You know what I mean? That's what I'm there for.
Right.
Like,
I mean,
I don't know. I don't know.
when the Godzilla versus Kong movie came out, I remember it was like people would go and they dress up in like suits and they'd sit on the side of the auditorium
Yeah.
that they thought would win.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
And like, yeah, you don't remember that at all?
No, I don't. I don't remember that being a thing.
I mean,
But-
I didn't go, but like, if like no one came out of the theater and was like, man, I really appreciated Rachel's character arc. You know, like John really had that great monologue in Act Two.
Right. No, everyone's
it
talking
was-
about the
it
fact
was
that
who's
they
gonna win.
teamed up. Yeah, it's the fact they then. It's like, oh, Godzilla vs. Kong, who's gonna win? And then they team up against Mecha Godzilla. Like, it's
Yeah, it's
How did I thought about it? 'Cause
Up
it's
the
like,
stakes. Of
even
like
in the
a giant
trailer-
gorilla.
right, and even in the trailer for the new movie, to continue my point, the way Godzilla is introduced in the trailer is he wakes up like encased in ice, like he's been hibernating, and he breaks
Interesting.
out of the ice and wakes up, and I'm like, where have you been? Did you just piss off for 3 years? Like, it doesn't make sense.
I mean, he's a dinosaur, right?
Is that what he is? Is Godzilla a dinosaur?
Am I dumb for not knowing what Godzilla is?
Is Godzilla
Is he a crocodile? Is he a Komodo dragon?
Uh,
Is he a gecko?
oh, Godzilla is a fictional monster or kaiju that debuted in the eponymous 1954 film. So I guess he's just
Eponymous?
yes,
I don't
thank
know.
you. I guess he just counts the kaiju, which
That's
feels
not
kind
an-
of like a
it's not
cop
an
out,
animal.
but
Yeah, that's.
yeah.
Is he meant to look like a real thing, or is it its own like design?
Yeah, that's a here. What?
Also, something I've always wondered, as someone that hasn't seen the movies,
Yeah.
King Kong and Godzilla are not the same height.
No, they're not.
Like Godzilla is skyscraper size,
Mm-hmm.
right? He shows up and he like walks into a building. He doesn't kick it. He doesn't run at it. He walks into it and topples it, right?
Right.
King Kong climbs buildings. He's got a woman
Right.
in his hand. He's a big guy, but like he's on top
Right.
of the Empire State Building, right? He's got
Like
The-
it's.
what
it's
does he
to
do?
the
Climb on
point.
him? Does he?
Well, if you notice, so like if you go and watch any of the trailers, even just the trailers, so like Kong Skull Island. I'm not sure if you remember that movie when it came
Yeah,
out.
with Jack Black was in that one. Was that? Oh no, that was the one
No,
after.
that was the Jumanji movie, I think.
No, what Jack Black was in the King Kong, like the old one.
Oh yeah, no, that's the old one from like 2005. That's the Peter
Right.
Jackson one.
Yes, the Peter Jackson one.
Yeah,
But Skull Island was
Skull Island's like the more recent one, and it like takes place in the same
it's
universe
in
as
the
like the
Godzilla
recent.
verse.
Yeah, but in that
Okay.
movie, it's like a young King Kong gets discovered in like the 50s, and so they use that as a way to like age him up for the present when he fights Godzilla, and like he's still smaller than Godzilla, but it's like I don't think it's a believable fight, you know? Like
Yeah, like if you if you thought King Kong was going to win that fight, why? You know? And I mean that rhetorically. I really do because like any answer that you could give me, I think is nonsense.
I think it's the same way like a ninja could defeat a wrestler. Right? In the
Right.
sense of like a small dude versus a big dude. The small dude's faster. So like yes, if the big dude gives like it's like one solid smack, the smaller dude's dead. But if the smaller dude is fast enough to get like enough of small strikes in, the
Right.
small guy can win. It's like a
Or
speed
like
versus strength thing.
the how much prep time does Batman have?
Well, that's such a stupid argument.
You don't you think so?
Yeah, because it's like okay, if Batman, if anybody in the world had prep time, like they would win. You know what I mean? Like yes, Batman is smart and I get it, but like the argument is if Batman had prep time, he would win. If Batman didn't have prep time, he wouldn't win. Like that's the
But what is Superman doing in his prep time? Like
talking
working
to
out?
his dead dad in the Fortress of Solitude.
Right, like he's doing nothing. He's sitting there. It's what is Superman has all the stuff he's gonna get. He's not gonna
Right.
get more resources. What's he gonna get? A gun? You know, it's
This is my Superman gun.
it's
This is
it's
how I
it
fight crime now. Like
shoots bats. It's a bat gun. It's a sonar weapon. It's no. He shoots lasers out of his eyes. He flies. He's super strong. He has all of the equipment. Batman is
Well-
a dude until he like puts on a suit and like preps and stuff. He doesn't just go
Right.
out and say I'm gonna beat someone up today. No, he's searching for leads. You know,
right. I mean,
is
fair.
that so? Is if you give King Kong
Prep
some
time.
some prep time?
Is
What?
King Kong the Batman? Is King Kong the Batman of the Godzilla verse?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Because
And
what
that-
I mean, the whole Batman versus Superman thing. It's like they literally had to invent a fictional rock so that like Superman can't just like blow people up. He can blow people up. We have an Amazon series about it. If Superman did not have a freaking rock that like
Right.
shut down his powers. So what?
Well, and
Batman
that's
goes
just-
and gets like a kryptonite gun or something, and but
Well, that's like the idea of like
no, he doesn't.
there was a DC comic that was like about the Joker and Batman and stuff that was like one bad day, right? And the whole concept
Oh,
was
yeah.
that like any person is like one bad day away from like breaking, away from doing some big
Right.
crazy evil. And it's like Superman's the same way. But like Superman would totally be Homelander. Like talking
Right.
about the boys and talking about like would totally be Homelander if he wasn't raised by like Ma and Pa Kent.
Right.
Had he not landed on some small farm in Kansas, like in Smallville, and like
In
let's
the
say Superman was like
Smallville.
found by the military or so forth, he would 100% be Homelander. Like that's the
Right.
entire
It's
discussion. the
integral
entire-
to his character. Yes.
Right.
Yeah, and I think no one disagrees with that. No, totally. Because I mean, I haven't read that one, but I kind of love that concept of because what doesn't he end up going to like a different dimension and being with they get what's his girl's name? Freaking
Lois.
Lois,
Lane?
yeah,
Yeah.
They get a Lois from another universe to show up, and she goes, dude, like, cut this shit out.
Yeah, I think that's the Injustice comic. I think is how that
Is it?
comic ends.
No, I'm totally thinking of the one where Joker kills Lois.
Yeah, that's Injustice. Well, it's not no, because Injustice Superman kills Lois, but because of the Joker. I don't know.
More of
But
a
anyway,
Marvel guy myself, but
right, I mean, I mostly am too, but the
anyway,
concept still remains the same.
as you wear the Venom shirt.
Yeah, right. Venom is my favorite Marvel character, man. Like,
Really?
oh yeah, 100%. I'm a Venom guy.
I hate to be on the bandwagon, but
Yeah.
Iron Man's my dude.
I mean, fair enough. I respect it. I respect it.
You know, he's the Batman of the MCU.
Oh, 100%.
Well, MCU is the cinematic universe, but
Of Marvel, yeah.
Marvel
If you need
comics.
to make, yeah.
You know,
I mean, honestly, I'm more of just an overall Spider-Man guy. Like,
oh, who's not?
but like in the sense of like that entire mythos. So like, give me Spider-Man, give me Venom, like even give me like
Yeah.
Miles Morales Spider-Man,
Yeah.
give me Spider-Gwen. Like I'll read all their stuff, and I do have like collections of all their stuff. Like,
There's a reason why there's a whole movie about all of them.
yeah,
They're all great iterations.
because they're marketable. That's why.
Well, that's why. You're right. But
But
I'd like to think we just love Spider-Man.
it's true. It's true. He's very lovable. But audience taste buds, let us know why you think Godzilla keeps pissing off at the end of every Godzilla movie. I'm very curious to hear your answers. But Cameron, I got another fun question for you this week.
I'm ready.
So, since like physical energy can be like turned into thermal energy,
Yes, it can.
how hard would I need to punch a chicken to cook said chicken?
Are we talking about one punch?
I think it goes one of two ways. It could go one punch, or like how many punches would you need to like create enough energy? It could go one of two ways.
I think my immediate thought is that no matter how hard or how often you would need to punch it, like how fast would you need to punch it at a consistent like force,
Right.
you have to understand that by the time you're done, you're looking at chicken sauce.
That's true. Like
You're punching pudding at some point.
yeah. I think the way to go about it is not a punch, it's a slap.
Okay, to
And
spread
so-
the most energy out at once.
Yeah, if you're slapping the surface, you're like bop 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 bop. But
Right.
obviously, you as a human are going to get tired. So I don't think you could do it by yourself either. I think you would need a team, right?
Right.
And that team would then swap out, so you have like someone 24/7 around the clock going bop 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 on
Right.
on a chicken.
I think you could punch or slap a chicken so hard that it traveled through the atmosphere at the speed that would cook it. Because it will at some point, right?
Oh yeah,
mean,
at a certain
I
point in
could-
the atmosphere, it'll get cooked.
I could
like,
punch the chicken up, and then on the way down, its descent through the atmosphere would.
oh yeah.
How hard would you need to punch a chicken to push it just slightly out of the atmosphere so that gravity would bring it back down?
I feel like you would need a rocket boot. You need like a comic, like
Like a
rocket
gauntlet
propeller.
with a thruster on it.
yeah,
Yeah, I agree.
like a Red Bull design, because Red Bull does crazy stuff like
I guess
rocket gauntlet,
like a Lockheed Martin glove,
exactly.
like a Boeing boot with
You
Elon
need
Musk
a boot
thrusters
with
on it.
with two Boeing jet engines on it.
SpaceX mittens, SpaceX boxing gloves. But I mean, the question's not answerable if you assume that the chicken's going to like break apart.
Correct.
If I punch anything hard enough, it's going to break.
Like you would need an invincible chicken.
Yeah. Yeah, and then, but would the qualities of invincibility of the chicken make it so that you could not possibly like impact it in a way that would cook it? Like, would the qualities that made it like a steel chicken, like just you can hit it as hard as you want and it will not break, does that make it impossible to move the molecules in the chicken around fast enough to heat it up to cook it?
I see. Like so, like the invincible becomes a catch 80, like a catch 22.
Right.
I almost
like,
said a catch 88, and I was like, that's not a
catch-
thing. A catch 88 is not a thing.
I don't even think You can. It's a multiple.
I mean,
You
yeah, but
you can put 22 into 88. I think.
a catch
Can you?
88 is four catch 22s.
So there's a couple. There's a couple catch 22s. How
uh,
many? Oh, Sarah has some reading material for us.
oh, okay, all right.
Sarah's like our producer over here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we're getting producer notes mid show.
I mean, this website has science in the name,
Okay, okay,
so this is real. In terms of normal slaps, assuming you could deliver them at an incredible superhuman speeds, would take a hell of a lot more. Oh, that's like the end of a sentence. Oops. Okay, no, no. Here's a quote. Here's a quote. Sorry. One average slap would generate a temperature increase of 0.0089 degrees Celsius.
okay,
Um, it would take 23,034 average slaps to cook a chicken.
okay.
Average slaps?
Yeah, what's an average slab?
I mean, also, I mean, are we talking medium rare?
Wait, but
Are we
no,
talking
yeah,
well
but
done?
you
No
can't
pink?
cook chicken medium rare.
I mean, you can. It's not a good
No,
idea.
I mean, yeah, salmonella.
So if you get salmonella, you failed,
Like, I
right?
think chicken has to be cooked at like 165, right?
Uh, yeah, something like that. It's got to be a certain temperature. I'm still I'm still on the atmosphere thing. I think
165, yeah.
165. I think how do you heat? There's got to be a study on that. How much heat you're producing in coming through the atmosphere?
Um,
Like we've had plenty of vessels re-enter the atmosphere, right?
correct.
So I mean, I mean, hypothetically, I mean, can I pick my spot on the earth that I'm slapping the chicken?
Here, hang on. How much heat do you generate entering the atmosphere? Um, 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit?
That would probably cook the chicken, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
My oven doesn't get that hot.
That's the only number I'm seeing is 5,000.
Like if you start at the top of the atmosphere and you're inches away from sea level, like that's what you'd reach, 5,000 degrees.
Yes.
So I might not even have to punch the chicken up that high.
No, you just got to get it like up past the ozone layer.
Right, or like what do you cook your chicken at in the oven? I do like, 425 for 30
Yeah.
minutes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Cook it all the way through. So like let's just call it 1,000 degrees for like a minute. Cook,
Yeah,
right?
I think the issue becomes then, now what about the radiation?
Wh-
Like space radiation.
Is that enough to
I think here's the way I envision the atmosphere, right?
do astronauts have to worry about that?
Well, no, because they're inside a space station.
The space station blocks out radiation.
I think.
I,
Um,
you might have got me there. I don't know. I
um,
don't know. I like to know things. I don't know. I don't think
Space.
space radiation is enough to like do some damage. I think you could
Oh
float
yeah,
through space pretty effortlessly.
yeah, dude. Cosmic radiation's a thing.
Well, how does it affect? Well, how does it compare to like Chernobyl?
Oh, just cosmic.
You know, because like I don't know, tons of things radiate. I don't think we realize that. Like a lot of stuff has radiation. Stuff in your kitchen radiates. Like Chernobyl radiation.
How does cosmic radiation compare to Chernobyl?
Oh, you found that?
I mean, that's what I googled.
Oh, okay. Like how many like what do they measure? Rontgens? Whatever they're called. You know
We're
that thing
currently
from
loading
Fallout?
up information from the Physics Stack Exchange.
Oh, it has physics in it. Must be real.
All right, so the question was asked, how does radiation from Chernobyl disaster compare to cosmic radiation on the surface of the moon?
That's good.
Um,
Okay.
the radiation in space is a different character than the radiation in Chernobyl after the disaster. In Chernobyl, the most dangerous radiation was gamma and neutron radiation from the radioactive fuel, and
Right.
gamma from the materials around. Um, and also in the first few days, beta radiation from iodine from the dust inhaled or food ingested. In space, the prevalent concern is due to protons and other heavy particles, nuclei of helium and others. There are ways to compare numerically the effect of these different radiations on a person. For example, by comparing absorbed dose per hour. Um, However, absorbed dose per hour only quantifies effects of the radiation. It is only a rough indication of subsequent long-term biological effects of radiation, i.e., cancer, leukemia. Um, I'm not seeing a number.
I honestly want to say that I
Also,
don't
there's a
think
lot.
we've.
Also, there's a lot of typos on this website. I don't think this is a legit website.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I want to say that I don't think we've put enough naked people on the moon to really study the
Where are
rates
the
of
naked
cancer
people?
amongst naked moon dwellers versus Chernobyl victims. What was that? The 80s? Sarah, that was the 80s. Chernobyl, 80s.
Yeah, producer Sarah was
Am I thinking
Chernobyl
of
in the
Three Mile,
80s.
Mile Island? 70s? Late 70s, I think.
Here, hang on, stand by.
In a
What is your
Pripyat.
final guess for Chernobyl? Oh,
Dude.
oh, she ruined it. Oh,
Dude. She can't hear us, so.
it's okay. She didn't know. She didn't know. It's all right. It's fine. It's fine. Producer.
But I don't. So it sounds like we don't have to worry about the chicken becoming irradiated.
Correct.
There's too many typos.
We don't
for
have to worry
that to be
about
true. Moon
the,
radiation.
the number of typos mean that we don't have to worry about moon radiation.
Right. The more typos there are, the less true it must be. Um,
Yes.
if it was true, we'd have an editor. You know,
Right.
you'd have someone look over that just for spelling, not even
Title
for
of the
grammatical
episode:
errors.
Moon radiation versus Chernobyl.
Moon radiation versus chicken. Who will win? I think the chicken just blows the moon up. Final answer.
The chicken pulls out its Superman gun.
Thanks for tuning into That's the Flavor this week, guys. Let us know in the comments who would win, moon radiation or the chicken. The raw chicken. That
But no, now is a good time to let you guys know that That's the Flavor is your weekly podcast, typically, as long as everything goes according to plan, where typically we sit down, hang out, talk about random goofy topics. You can find us on any of your favorite podcast platforms and YouTube. You can also find us on any of your favorite social medias, such as YouTube, if you use it as a social media, Instagram, Twitter, anywhere. You know, we're anywhere you want us to be, and more. So yeah, check out That's the Flavor. Thanks for hanging out with us this week, guys. And now back to the show. So, I've had choir music stuck on the brain recently.
as you should.
And the main song is Baba Yetu.
Baba yetu yetu. I mean, I don't know the words, but yeah.
So the reason is, for me, Baba Yetu was performed at my freshman year county chorus. I then spent the rest of my high school career convincing our choir director to let us perform that song, and
Until he
never
did.
budged.
I thought
We never did Baba Yetu in our
I did Baba Yetu, but not with not in Chambers.
correct
Not in
correct. We never got
Carlo
to do
High
it.
School.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. I did Baba Yetu at also at County Choir, County
But
choir was a weird place.
county choir is a very interesting place.
Have I ever shared my county choir stories with you?
No.
Because I never practiced. I never looked at my sheet music.
That's
And
pretty on brand. That's on brand for Cameron.
Daniel,
Yes.
never told me when it was.
Oh no.
He would just let me know the week of, hey, I contacted your teachers. You're coming with me in the van that day or whatever.
Okay, pause just to make sure. Our our choir director, not a bad guy. Like, just to be clear. Like,
we had some interesting times. That's all I'll say.
yes, no, correct. Like,
that's not like an innuendo or something. He was a strange man. He is a strange man currently.
mm-hmm.
He's out there somewhere. He might be listening.
But again, not in a bad way. Like, just to make it abundantly clear.
Dan, if you're listening to this, that stuff that I did that made you think that I was a bad person, we both know what I'm talking about. That shit was weird, and I regret doing that thing. And I've matured.
Welcome to That's the Flavor, where Cameron's gonna have a come to Jesus moment with the choir director on our show.
And like, I resent the way. I resent the way you taught, and I know in retrospect that you grew as a person as well and as a teacher, and so I don't resent you for those things anymore. I forgive you, but also I apologize. And so that stuff that I did after I graduated that made you think that I was a weird person, I regret that, and I apologize for that. And
I know what you're talking
anyway.
about now.
Do you?
Yes.
Yeah, have I?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It took me a second, but we got there.
Yeah.
But also, Baba
that
Yetu,
shit was
going
weird.
back to that.
Anyway, Baba Yetu.
Baba Yetu is a Civ 4 song from Civilization 4, the video
That's
game.
right. Oh my gosh.
Which threw me off because that was the first and only time that I've ever performed a choral arrangement of a video game song. And something in my freshman year brain was like, video game music performed? Like,
the octavo for it,
mm-hmm.
it says that it says from Sid Meier's Civilization 4.
Yep.
I don't know, I think that's crazy.
Yeah, that's so cool. No, one of my favorite choir stories is sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it was sophomore year because sophomore year went to district chorus,
which I would not have been there because I was
No.
not old enough.
No, you were not there just
I was
yet.
a little freshman.
Just yet. Or I'm trying to remember. It was okay. Now I'm thinking it might have been senior year, but I don't know honestly. Who knows anymore?
Tell the story because maybe I remember.
Yeah, but either way, going there, I had practice, right? I was so ready to go. I had both things locked in, memorized, ready to go. Then I found out that our choir director was in my room as a judge.
Oh, it was.
Which year did he judge base 2?
2 years. I remember in my wait, no.
It might have been my senior year. In your
I think it was
junior
my
year.
junior year. I placed like what? 19th?
Yes, it was. It was because Ozzy and Sarah were doing Into the Woods at our local theater, and so they weren't able to go that day. They like ran in and had like a special pickup. So yeah, it was our senior year, which makes it even funnier. It's like I practiced. I was like,
I did get in that year.
Yes,
I was like 23rd place. Like I was almost last to get in.
This yeah. So it was senior year, which makes this story even funnier. And I was like practicing. I was so ready. I was like, this is the year I place in district chorus.
Do you remember what the songs were?
No.
I don't either.
I've blocked it out of my brain for this story.
They were never very good, the audition songs.
No, they're terrible.
It was always very old music.
Mm-hmm. One of them was always in a different language as well. Like, that was part of their like challenge or whatever.
Was that
like,
the German one that year?
I think it was the Latin one. I could be wrong.
God. Though. Cum Sanctu Spiritu, blah blah blah.
Oh
whatever.
God, yeah.
They're all Jesus related.
Yeah.
The Latin ones. Anyway,
Latin songs are really weird because they're all like old.
They're
school.
all hymnals and
Yes.
stuff, like old bunk music.
And I was like, okay, cool. This is the year I'm gonna get into districts. Gonna do it. Found out our director was the base 2 judge. Went in there, nailed my first song. Was like, heck yeah, sweet, awesome. Go in to do the second piece. Because I'm pretty sure he was in the room for the second piece, because they're like separate rooms per song. So like, nailed the first one, walk in, see him, completely tank the second song. Like, not a note was uttered out of my mouth, to the point where the judge goes, the person who's in the room to like play the tracks for you and so forth was like, are you even gonna attempt to sing? And I was like, no. And then I like ended up like running out because it was because it was the acapella track.
I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, it was the acapella track. And so like
they give you a note.
And sometimes if you're lucky they'll give you like a lead in, like a 2-second lead in.
Yeah, and then it fades out.
And then it fades out.
Like
and so
10 seconds into you singing. Oh, yep. I hated those.
And so I bombed it and was like, okay, maybe I still placed pretty good. Who knows? Like, you never know. Like, because I at least attempted like a little bit, but then went out, found out I placed second to last in the entire district's base 2s.
Which was like 60 of us.
Yep. Because we were on the bus home, and he had already gotten the placements. And he's like announcing on the bus, and then I realized my name wasn't called. I knew it wasn't getting called as like as someone who placed.
Right.
And I remember asking him in front of everybody, so what did I place? And he goes, do you really want to know? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, second to last in all base 2s. You placed 59 out of 60 in all base 2s in the district.
That's rough.
And that was... it's the reason why I've blocked any singing out of my mind.
That's rough. I mean, it's...
Not actually, because we had then had some banger songs my senior year, from a choir standpoint. Made of Coolmore.
Made of Coolmore.
Made of Coolmore. I was listening to that the other day too.
That was that's the one you listed. I don't know why I have this memory, but at the choir banquet, that's the one you listed as your favorite piece performed was Made of Coolmore. Yep. That's the one I listed as my favorite piece performed the year after at the banquet, and it came up on the little slideshow with my face on it. Favorite
Never forget
performed Made of Coolmore.
This is That's the Flavor tie-in story because
boy.
Our choir banquet, like my senior year, on the slideshow that was put together, had the original picture of me falling in the recycling bin.
Did it really?
The original picture. The whole thing that has started That's the Flavor.
Interesting.
It also has the video of me running in the back hallway of our high school to try and jump into a trash can and then falling and eating shit on my ass.
Nice.
And there are only certain people out there that have that video, because I don't even have the original video of that anymore. But yeah.
Dang.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I have like pictures from that for some reason. Like of all the seniors up there.
Yeah.
And I have like this weird picture with Ozzy for some reason. And it's like a series of pictures where like I'm taking selfies and then I like slam into him and we start like hugging. And if you go on my Instagram, you can see the pictures, and it's like the whole like process. You can see it from start to finish.
My favorite.
Know why I have those.
My favorite, partially very sad photo from that banquet is, at the time, our current friend group of that year. Mm-hmm. All of us were seniors except for you. And so there's a picture of all of us, and then you just off to the side waving goodbye to us.
I don't have that picture anymore. I have no idea where that is. I don't think I ever had it.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. I was just Sarah and I were just listening to, and because I was just thinking about this song. My boy, our homie, Eric Whitaker.
Okay.
Put some respect on his name.
Oh, 100%. Of course.
And I was thinking about, because we did. This might have been your senior year. It might not have been. Enjoy the Silence.
Yes. No, that was my senior year.
It was that or your junior year?
It was my senior year.
Okay. And that song rocks. His
Oh yeah,
version of that.
yes, it's very
And
good. I also
along the
just listened to
lines
that
of
the other day. So
like cool songs that exist,
mhm.
like Baba Yetu being like a composition for a video game, and
Yeah,
Enjoy the Silence being like an '80s like synth pop track from
yes,
freaking Depeche Mode. Which that's how I like discovered Depeche Mode was through singing that song my
yeah,
junior year.
that's
Um,
awesome. That's awesome.
and I love Depeche Mode. I love that
Yeah.
song.
Well,
And
like the
Eric
funny
Whitaker,
thing is
he's a
about
G.
enjoy the silence is that was a song that he gave us and handed out to us at the beginning of the school year, and
Yeah,
we did not perform it until our final
until the
concert.
final
It,
concert. Yeah, I remember that.
it was one of the ones that just lived in our binder for
He
a
was.
year.
I think his rationale behind it was that, well, it's an Eric Whitaker song first of all, so it's
Very
completely a cappella,
yeah.
and there's a lot of dissonance. So it's
Yes.
very hard for any one part to like latch onto
Mhm.
their notes
Yes.
because everyone's just singing like these like half step harmonies.
Yes.
And for no reason either. Some of them are just there. Sometimes he's like, "Yeah, you guys are gonna hold this one note for two bars, and everyone's gonna sing like a random note in between." I don't know.
That song was one of my favorites though because it was one of the few songs we ever sang as basses that let us actually go low
Yeah,
into our
100%.
registers. Um,
Because Eric Whitaker songs never shy away from letting
no.
those low notes ring.
And audience, if you're not even a big choir music person, I still recommend go listen to Eric Whitaker's version of "Enjoy the Silence." Yeah, it's a choir piece, so forth, but it's probably one of the better pieces of music that I've listened to or performed even in like recent years. Like, it's just
Yeah.
very good. It's a very fun.
Or Luke's Arumque. Did you do that one with us?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay, that was my senior year then. Yeah, we that was another Eric Whitaker one that we did. Just
Okay.
beautiful song. And then what's the Seal song? Was that one of his other big ones?
Yes.
Maybe not. I don't know. Beth
Let's
is
confirm.
obsessed with that one. If she was here, she would confirm.
Um, the Seal Lullaby.
Seal Lullaby. That's what it was.
Yes.
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 Yeah, that one's a banger. Yeah, choir's a strange place, because
Yeah.
we want to be there to have fun,
Hmm.
you know, but there's also the pressure to perform. But we're also in a high school setting, and so
Yeah.
all
I
these
think
pressures are kind of pulling us in different directions, and I feel like it was a very strange environment.
I think to even compound on that, any of the performing arts things in high school are always really tricky because you got to think about it. You're right, like you just said, we are still in high school, and I feel like instead of them being things to learn and build off of, they're treated like you're in a Broadway show or you're in a
Right,
regional theater show. Like instead of learning and getting the chance to build, you're like constantly performing at this high level or expected to perform at this high level. So it's like from a choir standpoint, instead of like really fully being taught or learned, it's like, hey, you know how to sing, you can sing this, and like if we just
right,
do it enough times, you'll figure it out. But it's like half the time that's not really the case. That's why half of the choir music we were handed all throughout all of our years, we never actually performed.
right,
Because it's like, oh, hey, you guys aren't getting it. So it's like, okay, well, we've performed, like, we've practiced it 3 times, and we also don't have any way to practice it at home regularly. Because I know that was always
right,
the biggest thing. It's like, oh, go home and practice it. Okay, how can I do that if I don't have a piano? How can I do it if I don't, like, know what these
right.
note progressions are, or so forth?
And not everybody learns the same way.
Well,
And
right.
I think the value that it provided to some people was that it put them in a place where they were kind of forced to adapt to that environment, and that prepared them for going into like a more professional setting. I
Yeah,
mean, Ozzy is getting paid right now to go and perform.
right.
And so I feel like for people like him that we went to school with, that had to have been helpful. Because he already has that experience on a less like detrimental level.
Right. And that's
He had
totally
less
fair.
consequences, but was still able to like be in that environment.
Yeah. Yeah.
For us though, I didn't I didn't go become a professional choir singer, you know?
Right.
So what did I get out of it?
Right.
What did we get out of it? You know?
And that's something I've struggled with, honestly. Like, since moving on, becoming an adult, going to college, so forth, it's like, what did I truly gain from doing those things? Like,
Right.
and I feel like there are things I gained. Like, I gained camaraderie, I gained friendships and so forth. But like, in terms of actual skills, like, I honestly, now at this point where I am in life, like, sing worse than I did in high school. One, that's because of a repetition standpoint. I'm not doing it as much as I used to.
Right.
But like, also, it's so weird because instead of it being a class where like, it's instead of it being voice lessons, right? Like, it's just this class where you sing.
Right.
And so it's like, instead of it actually being a class that is helping you sing, it just is a class where you sing.
Yeah.
And I feel that's always been an interesting thing. 'Cause it's like, technically, I didn't really gain anything out of it other than I was singing and I liked to sing. Like, you know, like, it's weird. Not that there's not anything to gain out of choir. Like, don't get me wrong, I loved being in choir, so forth. But like, it does make you think, like, what is the gain?
Yeah.
Not to get like philosophical, but like, that's how I've been looking
Not
at
to
it
think
recently
too hard
in
here,
life.
but
Because like, even when I go, because I still do like community theater shows and so forth, and it's like, even when I go and audition for musicals, it's like, okay, cool. Like, I know on paper like what I'm supposed to be doing, what things look like, notes and so forth, but like, still, like, I don't really know what I'm doing still. Like, and and I feel like, because you're not really, unless you go to like a fancy art school, you're not given that like foundation. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
even from like a just a normal schooling level, it's weird.
You dive deeper into it in like a university level.
Yeah.
To you go back to the fundamentals, you know.
Yeah.
And there's already an assumption that you have progressed past the fundamentals in a non-university setting. You can already sing in a choir. So when you do get to university, it's like, okay, well, let's shake some of these bad habits you learned singing in your, goofy high school choir.
Right.
So you return to the fundamentals, and then you're able to kind of clarify some of those things you thought you already knew, with better basics. And in a high school setting, you kind of skip all those because the goal is to take an amateur group of people and prepare them for a performance.
Right.
Several weeks after the school year starts.
Literally,
it's
hey,
like, well,
here's your first concert in September. Good luck, have fun.
right. If I was like putting together a band, right, and I got a dude that was learning guitar, a dude that was learning drums, and a dude that was learning like bass or how to sing or whatever, and I got them all together, and I said, look, like, I really wish I could give you guys time to learn all these instruments, but I really just need you to play like these couple of chords, these notes, right?
Right.
I don't need you to understand why you're playing them.
Right.
I don't need you to know how to play the guitar. You just have to know how to play these songs on the guitar. Do you actually know what you're doing? Not really.
Right.
And that's kind of like what it turns out to be. And so when you do like go to the next level, when you go and study something, the first thing you're doing is not singing more advanced pieces. You're singing older pieces. You're singing like more basic stuff. You're singing like hymns and stuff.
Right.
Because
like,
that was the beginning. That was the basics, the foundation.
Right. And I think it sucks because from a certain standpoint, the reason I never went to the next level, the reason why I decided to not do anything music based in college, like, or for a degree, is because like, of the fact that I felt so lost from a high school standpoint. And part of that can be the fact of like, hey, high school's not meant to like really teach you anything. Choir is more an extracurricular. Even though it's a class, it's like more an extracurricular thing than it is like a class.
Right.
And so it's like, I feel because of the way it was like, hey, I'm not really learning this, and it's like, okay, go practice it, you'll figure it out. Like, because that was the solution a lot of times, like, it almost pushed me away from wanting to go do the higher level stuff.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, oh, hey, go practice. And I'm sitting here and I go, okay, no matter how hard I practice, I'm still not getting it. So there's no point in me going and doing a musical theater degree because I can't sing, apparently. You know what I mean? Like, that becomes the mentality in a sense.
Right.
Coming from someone who, again, sang like the same voice part as you and like also struggled to sing that voice part for my entire, like, you know what I mean? Like, choir career. I don't know.
Yeah. I remember, like, I think, speaking of Daniel Shade, Mr. Shade, our
Yeah.
choir director in high school, I think he always believed that I had something in me to do it professionally, or else he would not have, kind of pushed me to do the extracurriculars and to take lessons,
Right.
and all that. I mean, if he thought that was a waste of time, he would not have wasted his time on it.
Right.
But I remember talking to Mike Solster, the band director, about it, and he laughed at me, and I was like, what? Like, you don't think I could be a professional? And he said, no. And I said, why? I said, I'm like, and I wasn't first chair necessarily, but like,
Right.
I felt like the equivalent.
Sure.
And I said, but I'm like first chair or whatever I said at the time. And he's like, sure, but you don't practice. I was like, what do you think professionals are doing? They are practicing. He's like, I know 100% you are not going home and practicing. And I remember even Mr. Shade saying to me at some point that he went and was like talking to Mikesel about it. And Mikesel like rolled his eyes and was like, no, like, don't waste your time on this kid. He's not going to do shit. And ultimately he was kind of right. But I found my own thing in music that I was passionate about that was not performance. And I do practice my thing. My thing is making music, though, through music technology, not through playing the clarinet or singing, one of those things I did in high school,
Yeah.
But I practice that. I'm happy to practice that because it's fun, and I think a lot of people in that kind of setting, I think this applies to you as well, kind of fold under the pressures of that setting, and it makes it not fun anymore, and it kind of ruins the opportunity to go farther. Even if you stop after college, you do college, you do it at that level, and you say, okay, I had my fun.
Right.
That's it crushes you, the competitiveness of high school choir.
Well, yeah, because like yeah, it does. Like, not even the competitiveness, but like I think the lack of learning was what crushed me. Because again, the learning is, if you don't know how to do something, the answer was go figure it out. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like that's the thing that crushes you, because it's like, okay,
Right.
but I don't know where to start, and it's like, okay, go figure that out. Like, go figure that out. Go figure that out. Like, go practice.
What's funny is that, like, that worked really well for me, and I think that was probably obvious as we were standing next to each other singing the same song that both of us had looked at for the same amount of time, and go figure it out was my favorite phrase.
Right.
Fuck yeah, like, I'm doing it.
Right.
For you, that was like, you weren't interested in that. That wasn't something that worked for you. And so here we were, both trying to sing a song that we had been looking at for the same amount of time, the same part, and completely succeeding on different levels.
Yeah.
Just two different styles, and only one of us was able to thrive that way.
And not only the same amount of time, the same amount of, like, arguably at that point in time, like, passion for wanting to do this thing. And it's like, again, like you said,
it's not like one of us had been doing it longer than the other.
Right.
It's not like one of us like cared more than the other. Both of us were there because we loved doing it.
Yeah. Just really interesting. Like, the more I look back, and it's like, looking back on those classes, like, taking the music theory, taking the choir, like, again, it was a go figure it out scenario. Like, music theory less so, because it's like, hey, here's the actual thing. But like, even then, like, It's like, hey, here's the thing, and then it's like, hey, if you didn't pay attention that one day, like on that one sentence, I'm never gonna say it again. Like, try to figure it out.
Right.
Like,
And
and it's like that just doesn't work, because then like that doesn't work from a retention standpoint. Like, you're not gaining anything because you don't have the knowledge base to figure something out.
right.
It's like
And
math. It's like if somebody were to put a big equation up on the board and say, figure this out, but didn't teach me any of the prior things to figure it out.
right. And what, you have a 40-minute class,
Right. And I'm not saying it's, I'm not even saying
we've
like,
got 5 songs to get through today and warm-ups, and then you got to pack your bags and you need 5 minutes to get to your next class. And it's like, well, maybe this isn't the environment to be.
Right. And in the fairness
Teaching
of
that
teachers and our choir director too, like, you're right. They aren't really given the environment to necessarily teach us
You work
either.
with what you got.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah. But on that note, on our quandary of choral high school teaching, it's time to bring this episode of That's the Flavor to a close. Yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this week's episode. Cameron, did you have a good time this week?
I did indeed.
Good.
Reminiscing
Good.
And Godzilling and chicken punching and moon radiating.
Yes, exactly.
It's a good time.
Good. I'm glad you had a good time. I had a great time as well. Taste buds, I hope you had a good time listening at home or watching at home, depending. Yeah. Thank you guys for supporting That's the Flavor and buying merch, following us on social media, watching the episode, leaving comments. I know the show's been really wonky these past few weeks, and it's kind of just ironing out the details of Ozzy doing a show in New York and having a crazy fun time doing his thing. We're, again, super happy for him here over at That's the Flavor, but then balancing out the scheduling side on our end, and so it's been a lot of wonky stuff. We got a lot of really fun stuff we're cooking up for the new year, and hopefully the schedule itself will also figure itself out in the new year as well. So, yeah, that's all I really got to say on that. Thank you guys for supporting the show. Thank you guys for listening to episode number 46. I almost said 43.
46.
And yeah, 46. 4 away from the big 5-0.
Damn.
Yeah, which I'm cooking up a fun idea for that episode for the big 50. But
As you should.
Right. But yeah, until next time, I have been Christian.
I have been Cameron.
And this has been That's the Flavor. Until next time, stay flavorful. I messed it up. Oh no. Until next time, stay flavorful, taste buds. Goodbye.
Zing-a-zam, wow. Signing off.